You sound like a fool.
That's your opinion.
No, my opinion's the only one that counts.
As you get older, you realize that there are very few really important things.
For decades, one name stood above almost everyone else in courtroom television: Judge Judy. Her sharp comments, quick decisions, and unmistakable confidence turned a simple legal show into one of the biggest success stories in daytime television history. Millions of viewers tuned in every week, not just to watch disputes over money or damaged property, but to see how Judge Judy Sheindlin handled people who walked into her courtroom. Her style was direct, fast-paced, and often unforgettable. Whether people agreed with her or not, there was no denying that she had become one of the most recognizable personalities on television. But today, the conversation surrounding Judge Judy has started to sound very different. Instead of talking only about her record-breaking career, many people are asking a new question. Has the television icon begun to lose the influence she once had? After dominating daytime TV for more than 25 years, her move into the streaming world has sparked debates about whether her brand still carries the same weight. At the same time, changing audience habits, a new generation of viewers, and evolving expectations for television personalities have created challenges that even someone as successful as Judge Judy cannot completely avoid. That does not mean her career has suddenly collapsed. In fact, Judge Judy remains one of the most successful and highest-paid figures in television history. However, success does not prevent change. Every entertainment legend eventually reaches a point where the industry around them begins to evolve. Sometimes those changes create exciting new opportunities. Other times, they raise difficult questions about relevance, longevity, and legacy. To understand why so many people are discussing Judge Judy today, it's important to look beyond dramatic headlines and social media speculation. Much of the online conversation tends to exaggerate events or present opinions as facts. The reality is often more complicated. Rather than one major scandal bringing everything down, Judge Judy's current situation is the result of several smaller developments happening over time. Changes in television viewing, the rise of streaming platforms, shifting audience expectations, and the natural progression of a career that has lasted for decades have all played a role. Judge Judy Sheindlin's journey began long before television cameras followed her into a courtroom. Born Judith Susan Blum in Brooklyn, New York, she studied law during a time when relatively few women entered the legal profession. After graduating from law school, she became a prosecutor before eventually serving as a judge in New York's family court system. Her reputation for efficiency and straightforward decision-making earned attention within legal circles, but few could have predicted that it would eventually make her a household name. Everything changed during the early 1990s. A newspaper profile highlighting her courtroom style attracted national attention. Soon afterward, television producers recognized that her personality was unlike anything audiences had seen before. Rather than speaking in complicated legal language, she communicated in a way that everyday viewers could immediately understand. She challenged excuses, questioned inconsistencies, and expected people to take responsibility for their actions. When Judge Judy premiered in 1996, it quickly distinguished itself from other courtroom programs. Unlike fictional legal dramas, the show focused on real small claims disputes that were resolved through binding arbitration. The cases were genuine, but the presentation emphasized speed, entertainment, and Judge Judy's unique personality. Her reactions often became just as memorable as the verdicts themselves. Over the next 2 decades, the numbers spoke for themselves. The program consistently ranked among the highest-rated syndicated shows in the United States. Year after year, millions of viewers continued watching while many competing daytime programs struggled to survive. Advertising revenue remained strong, syndication deals proved enormously valuable, and Judge Judy became one of television's highest-paid personalities. Reports over the years estimated that her annual salary reached tens of millions of dollars, placing her among the best-compensated figures in the entertainment industry. Beyond financial success, she also built an exceptionally powerful personal brand. Her name became synonymous with common sense, accountability, and tough decision-making. Even people who had never watched an entire episode recognized her voice, expressions, and famous courtroom remarks. That level of recognition is extremely rare in television. However, even the biggest stars eventually encounter changing circumstances. The television industry that helped create Judge Judy's success is no longer the same industry that exists today. During the late 1990s and early 2000s, daytime syndicated television attracted enormous audiences because viewers had relatively limited entertainment choices. Streaming services did not exist, smartphones were uncommon, and social media had not yet transformed the way people consume content. Today's audiences behave very differently. Instead of sitting down at a scheduled time to watch television, many viewers now choose on-demand streaming services where they can watch programs whenever they want. Younger audiences, in particular, often spend more time watching online videos, podcasts, and social media creators than traditional daytime television. These changes have affected nearly every long-running television program, not just Judge Judy. As viewing habits shifted across the industry, producers faced an important question. How could one of television's most recognizable personalities remain relevant in a completely different media landscape? That question would eventually lead to one of the biggest transitions of Judge Judy's entire career, a move that many believed would open an exciting new chapter, but one that also introduced unexpected challenges. When the original Judge Judy series came to an end in 2021, many viewers assumed it was simply a retirement announcement. After all, the show had enjoyed an extraordinary 25-season run, and Judge Judy had already achieved more than most television personalities could ever hope for. Walking away at the top would have seemed like the perfect ending, but retirement was never really the plan. Instead, Judith Sheindlin had already signed a major agreement to launch a brand-new Courtroom series called Judy Justice. Rather than returning to traditional syndicated television, the new show would stream exclusively on Amazon's Freevee service, which later became part of Prime Video's free streaming offerings. The move reflected a broader trend across the entertainment industry, where streaming platforms were investing heavily in well-known personalities to attract viewers. From a business perspective, the decision made sense. Streaming was becoming one of the fastest-growing segments of television. Networks and production companies recognized that audiences were gradually moving away from scheduled broadcasts and toward on-demand viewing. Bringing one of television's most recognizable legal personalities into that environment seemed like a logical next step. Yet moving to streaming also meant leaving behind one of Judge Judy's greatest advantages: accessibility. For years, millions of people could watch Judge Judy simply by turning on their local television station during the afternoon. There were no subscriptions to manage, no apps to download, and no need to search through a streaming library. The show had become part of many viewers' daily routines. Streaming changed that experience completely. Even though Judy Justice attracted considerable attention at launch, the audience now had to find the program on a digital platform rather than discovering it through traditional television. While younger viewers often have little difficulty navigating streaming services, some longtime fans preferred the familiarity of broadcast television. That difference alone made direct comparisons between the two shows difficult. Some headlines suggested that the new program wasn't matching the enormous visibility of the original series. However, those comparisons often ignored an important reality. Streaming and syndicated television measure success differently. Traditional television relies heavily on live ratings, while streaming platforms evaluate performance using a wider range of data, including total viewing hours, repeat watches, subscriber engagement, and long-term audience retention. In other words, lower public visibility doesn't necessarily mean lower overall success. Even so, many viewers noticed changes beyond the platform itself. The Courtroom looked different. Several familiar faces from the original program were no longer present. New staff members appeared alongside Judge Judy, including her granddaughter, Sarah Rose, who joined the series as a law clerk. The production style also felt more polished and cinematic than the straightforward format audiences had watched for decades. Some fans welcomed these updates. Others believed something had changed that was harder to describe. Many longtime viewers felt the original series possessed an energy that was difficult to recreate. Whether that feeling came from nostalgia, changes in production, or simply the passage of time remains a matter of personal opinion. But whenever a program becomes part of people's daily lives for decades, even small adjustments can feel significant. Another factor influencing public discussion was the changing role of courtroom television itself. When Judge Judy first premiered in the 1990s, the format felt relatively fresh. Although courtroom programs already existed, few combined legal disputes with such a fast pace and such a distinctive personality. Over the years, however, audiences gained access to countless reality shows, documentaries, true crime series, and legal content online. Competition became much stronger. Instead of competing only against other daytime television programs, Judy Justice now existed alongside thousands of entertainment options available at any moment. Streaming platforms offer documentaries, dramas, sports, comedy specials, and original series, all competing for viewers' attention. Maintaining the same level of cultural dominance under those conditions would be difficult for any television personality. At the same time, Judge Judy herself remained remarkably consistent. Her courtroom style changed very little. She continued asking direct questions, challenging contradictory testimony, and encouraging personal responsibility. Supporters argued that this consistency proved why she had remained successful for so many years. They appreciated that she had not dramatically altered her personality simply to follow changing trends. Critics, however, viewed the situation differently. Some argued that modern audiences increasingly expect public figures to communicate with greater sensitivity than television personalities often did during the 1990s and early 2000s. Judge Judy's famously blunt style, once considered refreshingly honest by many viewers, occasionally drew criticism from people who believed her approach could appear unnecessarily harsh. This debate is not entirely new. Throughout her career, Judge Judy has inspired both admiration and criticism. Some people see her as a symbol of accountability and common sense. Others believe her courtroom manner sometimes prioritizes entertainment over empathy. Those differing opinions have existed for years, but social media has made them much more visible. Unlike earlier decades, where television reviews appeared mainly in newspapers or magazines, today's reactions spread instantly across multiple online platforms. A short video clip or interview can generate thousands of comments within hours, creating the impression that every moment has become part of a larger public debate. That increased visibility has affected nearly every well-known television personality. Judge Judy is no exception. Despite these discussions, one fact remains clear. Her influence on courtroom television is undeniable. Many legal reality programs that followed borrowed elements of the format she helped popularize, and few personalities have maintained such a recognizable public image for so many years. Still, the challenges facing her today extend beyond ratings or online conversations. The entertainment industry itself has changed dramatically, and adapting to those changes requires more than simply launching a new show. It means finding ways to remain relevant while staying true to the qualities that made audiences pay attention in the first place. For someone whose career has already spanned several decades, that balancing act may prove to be one of the most difficult cases Judge Judy has ever faced. One reason conversations about Judge Judy have become more complicated is that her legacy is now being viewed through a different cultural lens than it was 20 or even 10 years ago. Public expectations for television personalities continue to evolve, and qualities that were once celebrated without much debate are now discussed from multiple perspectives. Throughout her career, Judge Judy built her reputation on one simple principle: personal responsibility. In case after case, she challenged excuses, questioned inconsistent stories, and reminded litigants that actions have consequences. That approach resonated with millions of viewers who believed her courtroom reflected common sense rather than unnecessary complexity. For many fans, she represented someone willing to say what others were afraid to say. But not everyone interpreted her style the same way. Some legal commentators and media critics have argued that the fast-paced format of courtroom television naturally emphasizes entertainment over the detailed legal procedures found in actual courts. Because television episodes are edited for time, viewers see only portions of each case, making it impossible to experience every discussion exactly as it unfolded. It's important to remember that Judge Judy and Judy Justice resolve disputes through binding arbitration rather than operating as government courts. Participants voluntarily agree to have their disagreements settled in that setting, and production companies typically cover the financial awards. While the decisions are legally binding under arbitration agreements, The programs are designed for television audiences as much as they are for dispute resolution. Understanding that distinction helps explain why opinions about the show can differ. Supporters often argue that Judge Judy's efficiency prevents unnecessary delays and encourages accountability. Critics, meanwhile, sometimes believe the television format oversimplifies complicated personal conflicts. Neither perspective fully defines her career, but together they illustrate why discussions about her work remain active decades after her television debut. Another factor contributing to today's conversation is the speed at which public opinion now changes. In earlier years, a television personality might go months without facing significant public criticism. Today, social media allows every interview, comment, or short video clip to circulate almost instantly. Context can disappear, opinions spread rapidly, and debates often become more emotional than factual. Judge Judy has generally avoided engaging directly with many online controversies. Instead of responding to every headline or social media discussion, she has continued focusing on her work while giving occasional interviews about her career and philosophy. That approach has allowed her to maintain a level of consistency, but it has also meant that speculation sometimes fills the silence. Of course, speculation should never be confused with verified fact. Over the years, internet rumors have claimed everything from health crises to retirement plans and professional feuds. Many of those stories either lacked reliable evidence or were later contradicted by publicly available information. That pattern is hardly unique to Judge Judy. Many high-profile public figures experience similar waves of online speculation, simply because their names generate attention. Meanwhile, one undeniable fact remains. Judge Judy's impact on television is extraordinary. Few syndicated programs have lasted 25 seasons while maintaining strong ratings throughout most of their run. Even fewer hosts have transformed their own names into globally recognized brands. Beyond television, she has written books, given lectures, and inspired countless discussions about law, responsibility, and personal conduct. Financially, her achievements are equally remarkable. Various industry reports have consistently ranked Judy Sheindlin among the highest-paid personalities in television history. Those earnings reflect not only her salary, but also the long-term value of syndication rights, licensing agreements, and the enormous commercial success of her programs. Yet money alone does not determine legacy. The question many observers now ask is much broader. How will future generations remember Judge Judy? Some will remember her as the woman who revolutionized courtroom television and proved that audiences would embrace direct, no-nonsense communication. Others may view her as a symbol of a different era in television, one whose style reflected the expectations of its time more than those of today's audiences. Both perspectives can exist simultaneously. Television history is filled with influential personalities whose reputations evolved as society changed. That evolution doesn't erase their accomplishments, nor does it prevent new conversations about their work. Instead, it reflects the reality that public figures are often judged differently by different generations. Looking ahead, Judge Judy appears to remain committed to her career. Rather than stepping completely away from television, she has demonstrated a willingness to adapt to changing platforms while preserving the qualities that made her successful. Whether future projects involve courtroom programming, interviews, documentaries, or production work behind the scenes, her experience gives her options that many entertainers never have. The bigger challenge may not involve creating new content. Instead, it involves maintaining cultural relevance in an entertainment landscape that changes faster than ever before. Streaming services continue to compete aggressively. Social media shapes public opinion daily. New personalities emerge every year, each hoping to capture the audience's attention. In that environment, even legendary careers require constant adaptation. So, are things really not looking good for Judge Judy? The answer depends on how success is measured. If success means dominating traditional daytime television exactly as she did 20 years ago, the media world has changed too much for almost anyone to repeat that achievement. Viewing habits have shifted, competition has multiplied, and audiences consume entertainment in entirely different ways. But if success means continuing to attract viewers, maintaining an internationally recognized brand, and remaining one of the most influential figures in courtroom television history. Judge Judy still occupies a position that few television personalities have ever reached. Perhaps the real story isn't about a dramatic downfall at all. It's about what happens when an entertainment icon enters a new stage of an already extraordinary career. Every long-running public figure eventually faces questions about relevance, adaptation, and legacy. Judge Judy is experiencing those same questions, not because her achievements have disappeared, but because the world around her continues to change. One thing, however, is difficult to dispute. For nearly 3 decades, Judge Judy Sheindlin built a television career that reshaped an entire genre. Whether people admired her courtroom style or disagreed with her approach, she remained impossible to ignore. Few personalities have commanded attention so consistently for so long. As the media landscape continues to evolve, so too will the conversation surrounding her legacy. And perhaps that is the clearest sign of all. People are still talking about Judge Judy. Long after many television stars have faded from public memory, her career continues to spark debate, attract audiences, and inspire discussion. In an industry where relevance often disappears overnight, that may be one of her greatest accomplishments.